Hey, what is up, you sexy beast? Ghost and Tristan here, and this is the very long-awaited Draw My Life video that I'm really sorry I didn't do earlier, but I just am going to get right into it. It's going to be the best Draw My Life you've ever seen, you guys. I'm going to integrate a bunch of pictures. I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff going on, simultaneous lives, and kind of what's going on in every aspect of my life at this time, and be a little bit more in-depth than some of the other Draw My Lives that I've seen. Not trying to hate on anybody, but yeah, I'm just going to get right into it. So, I really wanted to put a lot of pictures in here because I wanted to show you guys what it was actually like and show you, proof of all this stuff, and, my life and everything that I've lived, because it's really interesting. It's a lot better, and I'm horrible at drawing, so I'll warn you guys about that right now, but I really wanted to show you guys my life from an actual perspective and how it actually was, and some interesting things that I found. So, my first house was from, I was born until I was about 6 years old. I don't exactly remember any houses before this one, so I figured I would just call this my first house. Now, I ended up making a video with my brothers, and I don't even remember making this video, but he ended up dropping me on my head, and ended up crying and everything like that, and my brother and I were really, really close, That's when we started playing the PS2 together. We broke the neighbor's windshield together, and stuff like that. And then we got our first dog, and our first dog was really, really interesting because she grew up so fast. She was a black lab, and she grew up super fast, and she ended up tackling me so much and being so, rough on me and everything when I was like 3 or 4 years old, that we couldn't keep her any longer because she kept hurting me and stuff like that. And I think they had other reasons for getting rid of her. Getting rid of her, that sounds so bad. But, we ended up giving her to some awesome owner one rainy night that I really do remember. And it was a pretty sad night because I really liked that dog, and I grew up with that dog, obviously, as you can see in this video here. And it's pretty funny stuff. So, we also had a thing called family nights, and family nights were really, really interesting, and it was our last name night. And then what we would do is we would take all of our mattresses and put them all together, 3 or 4 mattresses, and put them all together in the living room, and just kind of, sit in the living room and all sleep on mattresses and stuff in the living room together, and not like us sleeping together, stuff like that, but we, brought all our bed sets and everything like that, and we would just do that every Friday night or so, and watch movies and play games. And it was a really, really cool family thing that we did, and I've never seen it done before. I've heard of it being done before. And when I was about 6 years old, I also got a hernia. It was my second hernia. Apparently, I had one when I was like 1 or 2. I don't even remember. Hernias run in my family. Basically, what they are is they are when your lower intestine, when the skin in the wall rips and your intestine kind of can move out. And it can kill you if you do not get it fixed, but basically, they just sew up your intestine lining, or your intestine wall lining again. And so, we ended up moving, and I was like 6 years old, and my cat, Max, the cat that I showed you guys in the video, the cat that I got, it was my very first cat. We had a few other cats and stuff like that when I was younger, but it was my first cat. I got to pick it out from when he was a kid, and my brother also got a cat, and he ended up dying. He ended up getting eaten by an owl, and it was a pretty, really sad thing. And I would always, crash on the couch at that age, like I was just a little kid, and I would pretty much sleep anywhere. If I wanted a nap, I definitely took a freaking nap. So when I was about 7, I had a pretty cool room and setup kind of thing. I had a computer, my first time watching porn, oh god, terrible. But I had this white computer, couldn't really do much, but it was a computer nonetheless, and I had a pretty sweet setup, really, really similar to the setup that I have now. Ironically, I had that desk, and I had the computer and everything like that. Really, really fun getting into computers and stuff like that at such a young age, and I really do thank my parents for that. And at the time, my brother, my half-brother, was living with us. He's like 24, 25, and it's freaking crazy because he was so much older than we were, and so we do adventurous stuff, and go outside and shoot slingshots and stuff, and we just had a great time when he was living with us for like a year. I don't even remember how long he lived with us, but I just remember hanging out with him so much, him and my other brother at the time, and it was just absolutely awesome, and I'll never forget that. And now we got another Bengal cat, and this Bengal cat was absolutely adorable. When I say another Bengal cat, is the cat I have now is a Bengal cat, and he's super adorable. And that was our very first Bengal cat, and I really did like him. And then we ended up getting a girl at one point, and we had both of them, and then we just, got rid of her. It sounds so bad, but then we just had, him for a while. And I went on a lot of vacations, and not really vacations, but they were field trips. If you guys ever remember, I went on so many field trips in elementary school that cannot even be rivaled by, middle school and high school field trips that I barely even went on. I don't really remember much in middle school, but elementary school, we took a bunch of them, and so we went to Astoria, some science places, and at this time I was building forts. My brothers and I, when my brother lived with us, my half brother, and my full brother and I would, make forts and stuff like that. Outside we had like a tree fort. He had a tree fort, I had a tree fort. They tore down mine. His was really close to the house, and then we ended up having our own forts. And my older brother and my half brother, both older than me, had a, really tall tree fort as well that I just wasn't old enough to really, get in on, because I was 2 years younger than my older brother, because he is 2 years older than me. So he's almost 20, and that's freaking insane, because I'm 17 right now. Now, age 8, when I was 8, I remember a lot about my life. I remember a lot about my childhood. A lot of these stories happened when I was about 8 or 9. I'm just going to say a lot of them happened at age 8. Third grade is really, really interesting time for me. I don't know what happened, but a lot of really cool stuff happened. So I had, toys that I would play with. I had a sweet setup. I had a really nice room that I enjoyed. That's when I first started learning how to ski with my friend Tyler. And, him and I would go up to the mountain and ski, and that was a really, really fun transitional time for me. Getting outside a lot more than usual. Obviously, I was a kid, so, we didn't have a lot of the stuff. So we did get outside quite a bit. And this is when I fell on my head, my skateboard accident, my homemade zip line. I got in trouble at school for threatening to have sex with that girl. Oh, my God. Such funny stories in the 3rd grade. Absolutely amazing. And I think my brother was still living with us at this point, because we ended up capturing lizards. We'd go down the hill, and there were some rocky areas and stuff that we would catch lizards. And remember, if you guys have ever tried to catch lizards, their tails freaking pull off. If you grab their tail, it's like a defense mechanism, and they can grow back and stuff. But I always worried that I was hurting them if you ever grab their tail and they, kind of dove off and their freaking tails ripped off. But we ended up capturing, God, this sounds so bad. We ended up having 8 that we caught at one time. We'd get a bunch of crickets, and there was just a feeding fest. I remember having a bunch of them. Then we lost a few of them because we were playing chess, or not even playing chess. It was like some game we were playing with, like Bionicles or something. I don't even remember. We were playing, and we had them out on the kind of battlefield with us, and we ended up leaving and going outside to do something, and we left the lizards on the freaking game. I think we recovered some of them, but I think some of them straight up escaped or died. I don't even remember. It's pretty scary stuff. So at this time, I was in the running club, and this running club thing was every mile you would get a foot. And so 3rd grade, they started doing this program to, get kids more active. They started putting wheat foods at school and stuff like that, instead of just the traditional, really sugary and really kind of white breaded foods and stuff like that. So, I would run around and ended up running over 2 marathons cumulatively. This is all I would really do. And this was the time when I threatened to have sex with that girl as I was running around doing this event thing that I really, really do enjoy. And I still have the necklace, and it means so much to me. And I'm probably going to keep it for a long, long time, because it has all those feet on there. And green and white, as you guys can see, were my favorite colors. And I'll just never forget this, And after my second marathon, I ended up getting a $26, or I think it was actually a $52 gift card to G.I. Joe's. So I gave that to my dad, and I think he gave me $52, or it was $26. I'm pretty sure it was $26, because the first marathon you got something, and then the second marathon they gave you the $26 gift card. And so I gave that to my dad. He gave me $26 cash, and I started getting more into archery. My brother and I had made our own bows. So what we did was we would chop down a branch, and we would, kind of carve it with some steak knives. We had some steak knives we would use to carve these bows, and I wish we had pictures of them, but we'd bend the branches, and we'd take, some string or some yarn or whatever, and kind of bend it at the middle. We'd find bendy branches and stuff like that, and make kind of ghetto bows that we would use to shoot arrows. And we'd get the arrows at stores. I don't think we ended up making any arrows, but we did end up making the bows. And when I got a compound bow, that was much, much better. So what we do is we go in the backyard. We had targets and everything. We had a set of rules with my parents and stuff. They wanted us to be very careful, like no shooting when your brother's in front of you, or any of you guys are in front of you. And so it was just my brother and I at this point, and my older brother, my half brother Derek, would shoot with us as well when he was there, and then he ended up moving back away with his mom. And so it was really, really complicated stuff, but I really got into archery and everything like that as well. So like I talked about, my tree fort and everything, that ended up being torn down just a little bit after we left. I'm not even sure, but it was torn down and made me really sad, because I was going out to the tree fort, building my own thing. And like I said, my brother and I had a fort, and then we all had our own forts and everything like that. We had a lot of things we were working on around this house, because there was a lot of land that they hadn't operated on, that they hadn't, built houses and stuff like that on. So it was really, really fun and legal to do this. And what we do is we'd go to, because they were building houses down the hill where we live now, or where we lived after this, and they were having construction sites, so we'd go up and we'd ask them if we could use the wood in their scrap piles, and yeah, they would say yes. And so we'd get our own hammers and nails and kind of do our own thing, and use the wood from their scrap piles that they let us use and everything like that. And I remember one time my brother and I were trying to get a piece of wood from the scrap pile, but it probably wasn't a scrap. It was probably something they used to put on, forklifts or something to lift all the scraps and everything. So one day when the construction workers weren't there, my brother and I ended up getting permission, earlier from them, and so we figured it'd be okay. So we stopped by the construction site. They were off work. I think it was a weekend or something, and we ended up getting this like 4x8 piece of plywood, and we started kind of rolling it down, across, like carrying it all the way to our fort that we were building at the time. And one neighbor who lived right across from us spotted us, and he was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we're like, "Oh God, oh God." And we're like, "Yeah, we're just getting wood from the construction pile." And he's like, "What? No, who said you can?" I'm like, "No, they gave us permission." He's like, "Look at that. That doesn't look like it's from the scrap pile." And we're like, "Oh shit." And he made us take it back. We were so mad at that guy. I hated him for the rest of the time. My brother had ran into him another time, so he tells me. But yeah, we were building forts and everything best we could. We didn't buy any of the wood. It was fantastic. I don't remember cutting down many trees, but this is what we did to get wood because there was so much construction going on around. I'm messing up on my words so bad. Going on around where we used to live. And so at this time, I had really, really long hair when I was like 8. I had long hair for a long, long time. Way too long, actually. This is when I really liked root beer. I had a Build-A-Bear named Bob, and he was just my friend. I took him around everywhere and stuff like that because I really liked my first Build-A-Bear. I know it sounds childish, but I was 8, so what are you going to do? I had a Game Boy Advance. I ended up getting a PSP as well that one of my friends dropped. He was holding them both, like trying to do some content sharing thing, and he ended up dropping mine on freaking concrete at school, and I got super pissed, and I'm like, ah! And I'll still never forget that. Obviously, I haven't. And we were still doing family nights and everything, but they were a little bit different. And this was the time where I started to run away. I don't know why I ran away. I don't know why I was doing all this running away and all this other stuff. But these were the slow attempts. These were the bad attempts where I just kind of take it off running or just kind of leave out of the house and, start going somewhere. And my brother, he cared. He cared a lot. And he really knew. And he didn't want me to leave and didn't want me to get hurt or anything. So he would always chase after me and he'd always end up finding me. It was kind of weird and kind of awesome at the same time. So thank you, bro, if you're watching this. I really do appreciate you always going after me and always coming to look for me and everything. Except for the last time I ran away with my friend Brad. That was just absolutely fantastic. That was so much fun when I was 11. I've done a story about a lot of these, so I'll link all those in the description below. But we ended up going to daycare, and this is where my friend got hurt and everything, and he saw a black widow. It was a really, really interesting daycare place, and my little brother still goes there today, and it's still around, and it's really, really cool to see him do that and go to the same place that I went to as a kid. We ended up doing some volunteer work there when I was 14 before I got my actual job, and that was a lot of fun, cleaning up the place, and there was so much nostalgia in this area, just all these memories and all these different things. But yeah, for my 9th birthday, this was when I had a girlfriend and friends and everything. We went bowling, and we had a fantastic time. I don't even know how many times I'm going to say fantastic in this video, but we had a fun time, just bowling, hanging out. This is when I finally got my haircut. I think my parents had had enough. I don't even remember when I got my haircuts as a kid, but I remember I had a few times where it was short and a lot time where it was long. So when I was 9, my little brother was also born. Now, I love the little guy. I love my little brother. As you guys hear me talk about him a little bit, he's 8 now, and I cannot believe that. Because as you can see, this picture of this is me and him when he was born, and him and I look exactly the same. When I was that young, he looks exactly like I did when I was that young. Or how old he is now, it looked exactly the same. And it's just really, really interesting to see that because he's my brother, and I really love the guy, and I wish I could spend time with him more, but he does week on, week off and everything like that with my mom, and him and I aren't mature. When it comes to maturity, we're not that close, but we're still pretty close, and I really love the guy, and I'm so glad he's around, and I wouldn't have done anything. So around this time, around 8 or 9, before my little brother was actually born, my mom had ended up leaving for one period of time for a few months to stay at a different house, and this was across the this was across the way, across some dirt road before they did a lot of construction there. I ended up moving. So there was a dirt road, and then they ended up doing a bunch of construction around this area, and, making a park and everything as I grew up. It's insane to see how much construction they did over just my lifetime where I've lived. Because I don't even live in that big of a city, but it's still freaking insane. So my mom and dad kind of separated for about 3 or 4 months, and then they got back together, and then they had my little brother. And so that was really, really cool. It was interesting seeing my mom like that at a different place. My dad would always take us over there to visit her and see her and everything like that. And she lived in this small little duplex that I still know exactly where it is, and I kind of want to go to it. But yeah, that was an interesting period in my life because my parents weren't getting along very well, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. So I ended up moving again when I was about 9 and a half, 10. I'm not even completely sure. It was my friend's old house down the hill, and so this place down the hill, I ended up building a new fort. This is where I started dating my crazy ex when I got a little bit older. I had a rat named Doomer that ended up I had there in a room, and she would just kind of chill in the room, and I didn't really go in that room that much because it was really messy, and I don't even know why I didn't have that room because I shared a room with my brother. And my older brother, who's 2 years older, and my little brother had his own room and everything like that. So we had this extra room that I kind of had the rat in a cage, and I would go check on her every once in a while. But she ended up getting cancer. She ended up getting a tumor and ended up getting it removed. But then she ended up dying a little bit later because she got another tumor, and we're just like, oh man, they're just going to keep coming back. We thought she seriously got pregnant because there's just this thing on her stomach. And so I got the first one removed, but at the second one, she had breathing problems and just another tumor and everything like that. So we figured that it just kept coming back. And so when I was gone one time, I don't exactly remember where I was, but my parents put a sleeping pill in cheese, and they were telling me about this, and because I kind of gave them permission to euthanize my rat. This sounds so horrible. We sound like freaking murderers, man. This is terrible. But she was going through a lot, so we ended up burying her in the backyard and stuff like that. It was really, really sad. I remember crying about it because I really liked having a rat. It was interesting. I tried guinea pigs, and they just didn't work out. I don't know why. They didn't live very long. I feel like I'm a freaking murderer, but I'm not. Yeah, I always take great care of my stuff, but my pets die under suspicious circumstances. No, I'm kidding. I still have a lot of my pets, but when I was a kid, I don't really know. That was just kind of a sad period of my life. And when I was this age, I ended up taking my first selfie in a car. Oh my God, I don't even know what happened to my chin here. This is just absolutely horrible. I was still kind of running away at this point. Like I said, my brother would always come get me. And we had 2 Bengal cats. We had one named Simba and then one with a different name who was a girl, and I liked both of them. They were both around and both really cool. We ended up getting rid of the girl cat later, giving her to someone who we thought was really awesome, and after that, we just had the boy, and then we ended up getting rid of him as well because he started peeing on everything and just kind of turning into a bad cat. And this is when we got Sam, my current cat, the cat that lives with my mom, the really, really adorable cat. We got him as a kitten, and when we went to pick him up, he was always, running away and always trying to hide and everything from us, and he was really shy and really loud when we first got him. He'd always meow at the door because we typically keep him inside because we didn't want him running away or getting hurt like that or having an outdoor cat or something like that, and we didn't want him being bad and peeing on stuff. So he ended up doing that. He ended up giving him to my mom, so we had him at my mom's house for a really, really long time, and now he's still at my mom's house, and I really like that cat. He's super adorable. I've mentioned it before, but sadly I don't get to see him all the time. Now, this time I was, still playing the DS, PlayStation 2 with my bro and friends. We would do, like, GoldenEye on 4 screens. That was so crazy, getting the attachment for your PS2 to do 4 controllers and doing GoldenEye on all 4. Hey, you screen cheating and stuff like that. It was really, really fun. My older brother ended up coming to visit us every once in a while, and I just remember playing GoldenEye and stuff with him, and my other brother and friends. It was just a fantastic time, and I really do love my brothers for that, and I remember our childhood, and it was just awesome, and I'll never forget it. So for my 10th birthday party, it was a pretty cool 10th birthday party, actually. I had a bunch of my friends over. We'd, play flashlight tag and stuff. Flashlight tag, no, I'm kidding. Outside, and they ended up giving me a bunch of Pokemon cards. We just had a great time running around outside, hanging out outside most of the night, and like 10 of them slept over, and we ended up watching Teletubbies at like 4 in the morning, getting my dad to set it up for us, and he was, making fun of us, making jokes about it, and it was really, really cool. So at this time, I was about in the 5th grade, and I began to learn how to do the Rubik's Cube. I was still shooting bows with my brother, because my brother and I were really, really close, actually. We fought a lot, obviously, but we were pretty close. We shared the same room and everything, so a lot of the stuff he got into kind of got me into it as well, like Naruto and some of his shows and certain types of music and stuff like that, and obviously archery and the Rubik's Cube. He learned how to do the Rubik's Cube, and I was so fascinated. I watched the same videos he did on YouTube. Oh my God, YouTube has been around for so long that we started to do the Rubik's Cube together. Winky face. No, but I learned how to do it myself, and it was really interesting because we were like, oh, what's your fastest time? Oh, damn it, you're faster than me, and stuff like that. And it was just so interesting and so much fun to be able to bond with my brother a lot, because him and I were really, really close as kids, and we're still pretty close, but I just don't get to see him that often because he has his own apartment. And that time, I was shooting slingshots, doing whatever. I was outside a lot as a kid, actually, guys. Now I spend most of my days indoors and stuff like that. But yeah, ended up entering middle school, and I threatened to kill those 3 kids. Story in the description below, as always, guys. And around this time, middle school, 6th grade, 7th grade. In 6th grade, my parents actually got, started fighting, and they ended up getting a divorce. They'd been fighting for a long time. I remember having a birthday party, and they were fighting, and my friends and I were up at top of the stairs listening to them fight and everything. We're just like, oh shit, oh god, this is terrible. Had like 4 or 5 of my friends over, and my mom ended up, starting to cry, and you could hear that, and she was sitting on the counter, and this has happened for months, and so they just had enough, and they finally got a divorce, after they kind of separated and got back together, had my little brother, and, after a few years after that, they're just like done. And so when I was 11, they ended up getting a divorce and separating, and that was really, really hard. It was hard on my dad. It was hard on us. Obviously, we were super angry. I was super angry at my mom. I was super angry at my dad. I don't even know. I was just angry in general. I didn't really pick sides, but I remember just being very, very angry and hostile. So, several months later, when I was, almost 12 or something like that, my dad ended up introducing me to my stepmom, and I hated her. I was so mad. I was so mad at her for no reason, because I thought she stole my dad from my mom and stuff like that. And it wasn't the case at all. But I'm not going to get into why they divorced or anything. But I didn't like my stepmom at first. And at a family reunion one time, she always tells this story. It really cracks me up. I ended up standing up in front of everybody when my dad was away, and telling everybody that she committed adultery, and that's why my parents are divorced. Oh God, it's so horrible of me, but it's so funny. But I don't really remember that, sadly. So, yeah, I just had a bunch of rage at them. My mom ended up living in our RV. I don't really remember this either, but that we used for family trips at the time. We ended up having a time limit. And what was interesting is we had a time limit on how much we could play games. So it was 2 hours on weekdays and 4 hours on weekends. A really, really kind of weird and detrimental thing, because I really didn't enjoy having a time limit. We'd have to write down our times. And obviously we were dishonest most of the time, but sometimes I was really, really honest. And this is when I was still mad. I would still rage at things. And then at this time I was playing RuneScape, and I was playing the Looney Tunes game on PC and other Flash games. I started to get into porn and stuff like that. I mean, I stopped it for a really, really long time. But yeah, when I was in that age, we did a lot of stuff on the computer, winky face, and a lot of interesting stuff, because I'd always been on the computer. And I think this was around the time I started making videos with my friends on YouTube. We had an interesting YouTube channel. I've had several YouTube channels. I don't even remember the URL to this one, but I remember I've deleted all my YouTube channels, sadly. I don't know why. I really shouldn't have, and I really wish I wouldn't have, because my friend and I had a video called Shot by a Musket. So he had one of those, fake muskets, the replica muskets, and it would shoot caps. It would go pow, pow, stuff like that. And so it popped a little bit of gunpowder and stuff. And so we had a video where, we were just angry. He was holding the camera, and I had a flip camera at the time. And we were really super angry at each other or something, because he said something to piss me off. And I ended up, he's backing up, and he didn't. Okay, so he acted so well that he actually fell down the stairs. And so he did this on purpose for the video. And, I'm chasing him. I have the musket out. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Ended up shooting, and he falls down the stairs. And at the bottom of the stairs, he turns off the camera and everything. And we had these other videos where it was like being robbed, and so someone would come in with these Nerf guns and everything. We'd pull out our Nerf guns and have like a fight to the death and everything, because he'd be like, "Give me all your money." You're like, "Wait!" And so it just turned into this epic fight scene. We had a bunch of those videos. I remember making like The Robber 3, and this is when I had my Ben 10 channel, where I started to just upload Ben 10. I don't even know if it was the same channel or not. And Family Guy and stuff, I'd record with my flip camera, and each video got like 7,000 views. The Ben 10 ones, the other ones got like a few hundred, but I remember them being rated 5 stars. The Shot by a Musket videos rated like 5 times 5 stars, and my friend and I were so excited because to get such positive reviews. But the Robber videos weren't viewed as much. The Musket video I think got up to 250, but the Ben 10 videos got like 7,000 each, and it was really, really crazy, because I'm pretty sure the Ben 10 channel and stuff got taken down by YouTube, because after that didn't work, after they all got copyrighted and removed and everything, I started uploading Family Guy, and so that obviously didn't work. And then I did some Halo videos. I did some videos with my friend. It was just, it was absolutely insane. So a little bit after my parents' divorce, my mom ended up moving to Atlanta, Georgia, and it was just, it was so bad, because she moved there and I didn't get to see her that often. And when she came to visit, we would always stay in hotels and stuff like that. She'd rent a hotel for the weekend, and we'd just kind of go see her. And it was really, really good to see her, because she's working a really high paying job in Atlanta, and that's why she was able to travel. She ended up flying a lot back and forth just to see us, and it was really, really interesting. And I really did love her for that, because no matter what, she would always see us, every week or every other week, as much as she could, flying across the country every single time, because we live in Oregon. And she ended up getting a house, and I remember her first house. It was an interesting time in her life, because she had when she moved back here, she had some bad boyfriends. She was drinking, she was a bartender, ended up having a friend over one night, and she would smoke occasionally when our sister moved in. and or when her sister moved in, it was our aunt. So, at this time I had a friend over, and she had a really bad boyfriend over, a really bad influence boyfriend, just a young guy who would smoke and drink, and he was just a shithead. And I did not like this guy at all. And so did my brother. He remembers this guy, and we will never forget this idiot. I did not like him at all. So he stayed with us for a little while. I don't even remember if he lived with us or he was just over all the damn time. But they were drinking and smoking one time, and they were just being really, really bad. And I ended up calling my mom a slut one time when she came into my room. She barged into my room, and it might have been when Scott was over. I don't even remember. But she was super drunk and just being super weird and very mean to me and everything like that. And I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, well, like, I'm sorry you're a slut. And I, like, barely said it, but she still heard me. She's like, what did you say? Blah, blah, blah. Your friend's going home and all this other stuff. It was just a horrible night. And I think that night my dad ended up picking us up. I'm not even sure, but my friend Scott would never come over after that. And, at this time, my stepmom was over occasionally, and I still disliked her. I was still really pent up with rage. And so, she would come over occasionally, and my mom ended up moving to another house all the way across town. So it was kind of hard to see her. We'd do like 2 days, 3 days. I don't even remember the exact schedule very well. I do remember the week off schedule very, very well. But she ended up moving across town, so it was hard to see her, but we ended up going over there, like I said, on a schedule, and it was a smaller house. I had my own room in the downstairs bedroom, and I think I shared a room with my little brother at one point. I don't remember, like, not a lot, but ended up sharing it with him, and she ended up meeting a few guys, living with somebody who kind of introduced me to PS3. He got his own PS3, and we started playing, and he was cool. But he was very, very rude to his daughter for some reason. I don't know why. He would, like, yell at his daughter, and his daughter was, like, 6 months or, like, a year, 2 years old. I don't even remember, but she was super young, and he would just be super mean to her, and I hated that about him. But he lived with us. He was a bad boyfriend as well. Also younger and just not a good influence on my mom. Of course, my mom was still working a good job. My parents are programmers, and so they make a lot of money. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that in there. So that's what they're doing. That's why she moved to Atlanta. She got a great programming job, and that's what my dad does, and that's what he has done, and stuff like that. So we were always in a stable economic state. We were never poor. We were never, in a bad kind of economical standpoint. But going through the divorce was really, really hard, seeing them separate. And when I was introduced to my stepmom, obviously I didn't like her. And so this boyfriend, I didn't really like him, but she ended up kicking him out one day. And I was really, really excited because their relationship wasn't working. He ended up moving way away. And so we ended up going to visit him a few times. It was really, really just weird in general. Kind of fun, though. I do remember it. But I also remember how much of a dick he was to his daughter and stuff like that. And just wasn't cool. And then my mom met my soon-to-be stepdad. And so this guy was really, really awesome. Shout out to you, Tyler. We did videos together. We did all sorts of stuff because he was my stepdad for like 4 years. They were together, and this is around MW2. I remember midnight release. We all went in my car. My brother, it was my older brother, my mom, and Tyler and I. We all get in my car, or not in my car, we get in my mom's car, and we end up going to like Dutch Bros or something, and then going to the Black Ops 1 midnight release in 2011, I'm pretty sure. 2011, oh my god. And going to that midnight release with them was so much fun, holding like an LMG and, like a pistol and stuff like that. They were really, really heavy outside the GameStop line. There were military people there. We ended up getting dog tags and stuff like that. It was just so much fun and going with him. So he was around for the MW2 days when I first got my PS3 as well. I ended up writing a contract to get a PS3. So what I did, I'm like, all right, Mom, if you give me half the money, I'll give you half the money, and then I'll pay the half later, I promise, like this. I ended up writing an actual contract on paper. It was pretty funny, and she's like, thought it was hilarious, and so she signed it and everything. We got a PS3. I got half the money, and then I paid the rest back over a little while. And at this time, I was doing odd jobs. I was 11 or 12. And still in middle school, still in 7th grade. The rink was still a thing, hanging out with people. I started smoking weed in the 7th grade as well because I was just so mad and so, kind of distraught from everything going on in my life because I'm like, oh my god, my mom has bad boyfriends. This is going on. They're divorced. This is horrible. My soon-to-be stepmom's coming around. My dad's girlfriend at the time, And it was just really, really hard for me to deal with. And the horrible thing that I did that I don't recommend you guys doing is I resorted to weed. I was like, all right, I'm going to try weed because I want to and because I'm dealing with all this other stuff and just to kind of get away from it. So I did that for a few months. I did that from like the end of February till 4/20, and that was the last day that I smoked. And because my dad ended up finding me out and everything like that. So I was like, hey, Dad, I'm going to go hang out with some friends. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're not going to be smoking weed, are you? Because I never really introduced him to a lot of these friends. And he began to be suspicious of me. And he kind of knew what was up because just kind of go hang out with these people for a few hours and then kind of come home. And he was obviously suspicious of me. So he found out, he's like, "You're not going to be smoking weed, are you?" I'm like, "Oh, no, no, of course not." So, I just took one hit off of we had like a pen cap thing. So it was like a pen cap, and then there's a little bit of the metal end from a pencil that we put in there to light it so it wouldn't burn the plastic. Obviously, you don't want to do that. And I just took one hit, and then I was absolutely done. I quit weed for like 2 years until freshman year, and then I started up again for a little while. But that was on my own volition. That was just to have fun, just to have good times. Obviously, I had different reasons to do it. And I ended up getting kind of a laptop at my mom's house to make videos on. And around this time, I started making videos around Black Ops 1. Oh my God, the squeaker version of me is absolutely crazy. This video is already half an hour long. I cannot believe it. So ended up having my own business. Yes, my own business. I started, washing cars and stuff like that with one of my friends, a close friend of mine, the one who I shot with a musket, the fake video that we made. That I really did enjoy. And I'll never forget this kid because it was so much fun to do car washing. And we did a 50-50 thing. So what we would do, and I tried this with my other friend of mine, is we would, we got all the supplies and everything. We got like $20 together, got all the supplies. And we go around door to door straight up as like 11 or 12-year-olds and be like, "Hey, can we wash your car?" And a lot of people were, because we're kids, were very, very supportive. And this is a time when a lot of people didn't, kind of do this, and especially kids. So they were admired by our persistence and our willingness to just go door to door and everything. So what we'd have them do is pull down to our house, and we'd wash their car and then let them know when it's done and have them come pick it up. And after we dried it and everything and washed it, and we learned how to wash cars, we made a few $100 this way. It was really, really great. Our first day, I think it was our first day, we made like $80. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to borrow the money that my friend made because it was a perfect 50-50 revenue share. But I wanted to borrow the money that he made, and his parents weren't cool with that. And so my parents weren't cool with it either because it's like 50-50 partnership. So I let him keep the money and everything like that. I wanted to borrow it to buy Guitar Hero and then, pay him back, obviously. But, he took our money. We went our separate ways and everything like that. We invested in the business, made posters, and I tried this more, and we had a few successful days. I remember one time, I know I'm rambling so much, but I hope you are interested still. I remember one time washing someone's car. It was super, super dirty, and all they had was $6. And so we were super understanding. It took us a long time to wash this car, and we're like, "Okay, well, $6, that's fine. Maybe you can pay us the rest later." And they're like, yeah, sure. And so we tried to collect money a little while later, and they were just not down for it. Like, "What the fuck? Get off our property. Leave us alone." And so, yeah, I remember trying to collect the property years later, but, oh, it was so interesting. Just so much fun as a kid. I have so much fun in my entire life. And so, my mom ended up moving a few more times. My mom ended up moving a few more times as I was still making videos, cranking out videos. I had a laptop at my mom's house, ended up having a machine at my dad's house. And so I was about 14 at this time. Middle school had passed, and that was all its own thing. Girls, I did really well with girls when I was 13, and then 14 a little bit, and then high school just pretty much nothing. I ended up starting to date my crazy ex. We'd always hang out in the back of my house. It was kind of like a schedule. So I was super busy at this time. I was getting a 4.0 in high school, still am. And I had a job. I got a job at McDonald's at 14 in July. I was so excited to get this job. It was insane. I've been applying and trying for months ever since I was 14 because I always wanted my own job because I did a few odd jobs and a few things, here and there to make money as a kid. Like I said, I had my own car washing business, as you want to call it, whatever, super unofficial, but, some lemonade stands here and there, whatever you wish. And so at the time, I ended up getting an actual job, and I was a little bit into YouTube because I started YouTube when I joined 8th grade, and so I started doing YouTube videos, and it was just so much fun. I remember posting them on my Facebook page and everything. I was so excited with my friends. We would do videos because my friend and I had a YouTube channel. I've talked about this before, but he didn't like editing very much, and I did, and so we wanted to I wanted to make my own channel because I liked making content so much that I just started doing it myself. And obviously this is where I am today. Same fucking channel, same serious channel, my only real gaming channel. We had a few shared channels and stuff like that before this, but never did something this serious in my opinion. I think our last one got like 100 subs or something. So at this time, like I said, I was doing YouTube. I had a girlfriend. I got my job. And so freshman year, I had my girlfriend and everything like that. And I would basically schedule appointments for her to hang out. Yes, that's literally what it was like. So, "Oh, can you do Thursday from 4 to 6? And she's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, "I can do Thursday from 4 to 6. So we'd hang out a few times every week for a few hours at the park, at the back of our house and everything. We just kind of sit, cuddle. We had like a blanket and everything. It was the green blanket that I talked about in the first hand job story. And all that stuff kind of unfolded. And I've talked about so much of my life on this channel. that it's just incomprehensible, and I can't talk about all of it in this Draw My Life. But, you know, I was growing up, I was doing that, everything was going well. We dated for like 4 months, ended up breaking up with her because she was a little bit overly attached and just stuff like that. I just began to think she was crazy, so it was just bad. I've talked about all this stuff. Links are always in the description below to all my first childhood stories and funny stories playlists and stuff like that if you want to go check those out to hear all these stories, you know, more in depth and stuff like that. But, you know, at the time, I was still transferring week to week from my parents' house, my mom's, and then to my dad's. And it was interesting because I ended up getting the beast build after I was 14 with my first job, my first few paychecks and everything. Ended up building my beast computer that I still have now. And I had a similar one that I got at Christmas at my mom's house, and I just had been using a laptop. It used to take me all night to render a video, so I had a single core PC, and I was so dedicated to this YouTube thing that I would, you know, start rendering at night, and when I would wake up, it would be done. And so that's what I did back in the day, and it was so much fun. So interesting making YouTube videos back then when I wouldn't be able to preview my edit screen. Yes, my computers were so slow they could not actually preview the HD videos that I was using to make the clips, and so I'd have to edit, you know, basically frame by frame or click some random spots where I wanted to do editing or whatever. It was really, really crazy, really, really intense, and I was so dedicated. And after I got this editing computer, it's been amazing since. But yeah, things were kind of interesting at my parents' house. Things were great. We'd transfer week to week. That was interesting and fun. But I began to accumulate more stuff. So when I was about 16, almost 17, my parents, my mom and my stepdad ended up fighting a lot, and they ended up getting a divorce. And this is when I didn't really like my stepdad because their divorce and everything that was going on was so chaotic and so bad that, you know, they had been together for 4 years, and they had just had enough with each other. So I really hated to see him go because he was so cool for the majority of the time being there, except for the last few months when my mom began to put a bunch of pressure on him. So yeah, they ended up getting a divorce and ended up moving in with my dad in about the end of September, beginning of October. And I've been here ever since. Obviously, I'm just a 17-year-old, you know, getting good grades in high school, living that single life right now when I make this video. So I don't even know what'll happen after this video, obviously. But, you know, I'm just a 17-year-old going to school, doing YouTube, working. I've been working at McDonald's for 3 years now, working on getting promoted. There's obviously so much that's gone on in my life, but I really thank you so much for being here with me for it. I cannot thank you guys enough. I really cannot. It just means the world to me to have you guys support me over so long, just over everything that I've been through, no matter what. You guys have stuck by my side. Thank you for the almost four fucking years of awesomeness here on YouTube, and I look forward to doing this for a lot longer, sharing my life with you guys. As always, I really hope you did enjoy this Draw My Life. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this part of the video, comment DML swag, SWEG. Remember the fact that I love you. Bye.